And someone might have a Raspberry Pi Model 3, 3B, and now Raspberry Pi Model 4. And then operating systems installations evolved dramatically since last year. But before the last year, so many different ways that we need to install. And then Raspberry Pi itself is a standalone with no external devices, no external input devices, output devices like terminal, input device, keyboard, or there are many other output devices as well. But network perfectly fine on the Raspberry Pi, so which is good. So that's what we need to do, and then virtual network connections. That will be discussed as well. I'm now working on MacBook for Windows users up until I believe early March or late February this week. I think maybe first week of March or last week of February. You don't really need MacBook or Mac OS, so we're not get to that points yet. So we'll stay in any platform, but because we are working on a Raspberry Pi, so everything on Raspberry Pi has nothing to do with your main platform, either Windows or MacBook. Not really matters. Okay. This is Raspberry Pi 4B model 4 in general. Let's look at USB. 2 over USB Type 2 and 2 over USB Type 3. And Ethernet connections, if you want to connect directly to your router, from your router to your Raspberry Pi, then you can use this Ethernet support. So a lot of outputs possible here. If you have a camera that I ordered also, when it comes to camera, then I will place it on the department, and those who wants to receive from outside, probably all of you, right? You don't want to come to the campus for some reason, then I will make an arrangement for the mail deliveries from the department. I ordered this December. Wow, it takes so long. But anyway, they always said, I don't know which ones they delayed or they said simply, oh, supply chain. There's a good reason for them to say. So this is the camera ports, and 2 of the output terminal ports, which is micro HDMI ports, and then power ports. You can use USB-C type for power supply. We can use this, and this is a processor CPU. So usually when you receive this, and then there'll be a cooler air cooler stickers, so that you need to keep this CPU keep cooling down. And then you have the RAM. Many different size of a RAM, from 1 gig to 8 gig. I recommend you to get 2 gigabytes. Price-wise, they are very similar, but when it comes to 8 gig, I think this is a little more expensive. 8 gig, maybe in price-wise, double the price of 1 gig. And then we have 40 GPIO pinouts. Okay, so all male. Let's say if you have some sensor here. Okay, that sensor has 3 pins. Then if this needs a power, then you need to connect some of this. There are some designated ports, so you don't use any arbitrarily, because there is some power lines, okay, hot lines from here. It's not really hot, but literal, I mean, yeah, it's indicated as a hot. There's some supplies. How hot it is a 3.3 voltages or 5 voltages. It's you don't feel it at all. And some of these ground, then you need to, if this is a ground, then you need to connect to some other this ground, okay? Maybe this is signals that you want to read, then you need to choose, hey, this is a signal that I want to use. Then there's some GPIO pinout number. You need to use this number in your coding. But this number may be different depending upon the mode that you choose. There are 2 modes, which will come in the next slide. So you will see that. Yeah, this is audio ports, if you want to hear something. And then depending upon the RAM, you may have a different layout here. So if you see this, then you may be able to see this is 1 gig, 2 gig, 4 gig, 8 gig. This device itself does not tell you what is the RAM size. Very funny, right? Yeah. Specifications. Broadcom, BCM, quad-core, Cortex, A72, ARM BA, 64 bits. SoC means system on socket, everything in one, right? At 1.5 gigahertz. So it is a good process. Okay, and then it has volatile memory, and also EEPROM memory, which is called ROM. Of course, you should have a ROM, otherwise your Raspberry Pi would not do bootstrap. The signal waves characteristics are 2.4 gigahertz and 5.0 gigahertz. So almost all IEEE 802.11 versions wireless signals can fit in. And then Bluetooth 5.0, Bluetooth light energy possible, Ethernets, Type 3 and Type 2 USB ports, 2 each. Raspberry Pi standard 40 pins GPIO header, as I explained, 40 pins. Some complicated devices wise, if you purchase it, then it may usually takes many of the pre-designated pinouts are to be used. You simply plug all layout, overlay on to those GPIO headers. In that way, it looks very, very convenient. You don't need to figure out sometimes it is a hassle. If you make some mistake, then of course sensor would not work. Sometimes the sensor may burn out. 12 micro HDMI port, 2 terminals. This, and then stereo audios. Micro SD card slots also pass. This is very, very important, right? Micro SD. That SD card usually here. At one end here, if you see this is a rectangles, this is a long and short side. One end, all the USB and Ethernet. The other end here, bottom, there is a, because of this, we don't see it, but on this panel, under this panel, the other side, the back end, back side, there's a USB SD card slot located. Temperature, 0 to 50 degree Celsius ambient. So if you run this 0 Celsius means there is a frozen temperature. In Fahrenheit, there is 32 degrees. So if you place this Raspberry Pi outside in winter, when it below the frozen temperature, like last night or a few nights ago, then it's not going to work. And anything over 50 degrees, then that is very, very hot, right? In summer here in New York, in Celsius, maybe the hottest day is 35 degrees. Sometimes close to 40. 40 means then that is almost a little over 100 Fahrenheit. So 50 degrees Celsius means this is very hot. So it works. Yeah, as far as this doesn't mean as far this works under the proper ventilation works for CPUs. This is the pinouts, the GPIO pinouts. GPIO is general purpose IO. These are layouts. We have 2 modes. If you want to use numbers here, which is the pin number here, 0, these numbers. On right hand side, all odd even number, right? From 2 to 40. Or on the left hand side, this number wise, one odd number from 1 to 39. So you can use this if you use GPIO board pinout. Okay, GPIO board pinouts. But if you use this is a gray, in gray, numbers in gray. This is numbers in black. Then we see here 3.3 voltages DC power to this pin out, and 5 voltage to this pin out, and 2 of those. So each pins are specially designated. Here we have ground. So it is called the PCM. Okay, Broadcom pin out, Broadcom mode. Some of the networks. Some of the boards here, MOSI, MISO, CLK, yeah, those are usually used for the serial communications between your sophisticated sensor and your Raspberry Pi. Then this is designated. You may be able to see this from wireless network course. And then UART, this is antenna. So transmission and receive, transmit and receive, TX and RX. Okay. So we need to install and start up Raspberry Pi. There are two ways. One way is to add the noobs. Noob stands for new out-of-the-box software. Can be downloaded here. But we're not going to use this first way because this second way is a lot easier, as I said here. So using a Raspberry Pi OS imager. So OS can be OS imager, that is another software, so you can download it from here. www.raspberrypi.org/downloads. So I want to start to downloading this. Okay. Let me click this. So I want to show to you. This is a Raspberry Pi. If you are working on Mac OS, you can download this. For Windows users, you can download this. Doesn't matter because after this, we're working on Raspberry Pi. So for Mac users, if your laptop running on Mac, click on this. For Windows users, click on this and then install it. Okay. It's simple. It is simple. And then your SD card. If you use the SD, if you have already used the SD card, then you have to reformat that. Okay. As you reformat, there is an SD card formatting software. So you need to download it from sdcard.org. I'll show you that in a minute. So noobs, if you want to do this way, then you have to download this. Then you have this. Then you need to have a Raspberry Pi, the boot. You need to make SD card bootable. Okay, but we are not going to use that. Rather, we're going to use this imager. If you download this, then there is a program once you install, and if you open it, it starts from this. Okay, so we'll work on this. Then there's 2 buttons given, and then third button's not ready yet. So it's going to be turned on when you enter these 2. So here operating systems RPI OS. So you need to choose whatever you downloaded already. Raspberry Pi. No, you don't need to. Yeah, this guy will bring it up. You need to choose Raspberry Pi OS. 32 bits or 64 bits, but yeah. Although your processor is a 64, if you download the 32 bits, still works. And then you need to put here storage. Then you need to choose, hey, I want to do that on SD card. So you need to have Raspberry Pi and SD card, which is formatted. Then you are ready. Then you can click this right button. And it goes. Okay, sometimes you may choose the language that is English US, keyboard US. This is some of the things that I made. And when it comes to this selection, you need to choose Raspberry Pi OS. And then there's some progress. And then Debian is moving. Raspberry Pi OS is also a descendant of Debian distributions, like Ubuntu. Ubuntu is kind of Debian, and Raspberry Pi OS is also Debian's. Kali Linux also Debian. When you are done, then you will have this. Okay, this is first screen when you boot your Raspberry Pi. So this is Raspberry Pi screen. At this point, if you do not have a Raspberry Pi screen, you don't get this. So you need to be very careful to use this. Let's see. This is a screen. Okay, everyone. So I'm going to unboxing Raspberry Pi. This, if I have a pencil, then I can point out better. See here, this Ethernet and type 3 and type 2. And if you see here bottom, this is SD card slot. I'm not sure if you can see the slot clearly. Can you see it? Yeah. Here's the slot. And you may need some of the kit contains this SD card reader. So this SD card can be plugged in to like a USB port, but on one end there is also small slots that can admit SD card. So you need to plug SD card, and then there's a slots that goes into your computer USB port. When you first install the Raspberry OS, So OS needs to be installed. Right now, it's not installed, so we will go back to that. So as you have this, then you need to plug that into, see here, this end. I need to unplug this and then back in this. So it got in. And then I have a keyboard, extra keyboard, if you can see this. So I have keyboard and monitor, small monitor that you can see. This can be tilt back and forth. So this is the monitor that you can see, small monitor. As I said, this monitor may be needed only when you directly work on Raspberry Pi, and also until you set up for you to view it from your laptop, because we are going to install VNC as well. Okay, VNC, and each one, this guy needs monitor, external monitor needs power lines. So I have here, if you see over here, then I have extra power lines. One for this monitor and the other Raspberry Pi. And then keyboard and mouse needs to be on this Raspberry Pi. Once my Raspberry Pi has power supplies from this C type. So we'll do that. When it comes to the Raspberry Pi OS ready on your SD card, then we can do it. Okay. So what I will do is I'm going to switch the camera again. Okay. Be done on PC too. It's not necessarily macOS. As far as you download it, the Raspberry Pi images for Windows version and VNC for Windows version. Okay. Do not download the VNC server. Download the VNC viewer. You're not going to set up VNC server, right? Only viewer. Okay, back to our screen share. So minimize this. And once you download this, remember that this is the imager, Raspberry Pi imager. On this MacBook, I downloaded it and installed it. So it is enrolled in this application. So here, Raspberry Pi imager. Okay. So if you are ready, then by the way, let me see. Oh, before we need to have, let's say, SD card formatter, right? This is SD card formatter. From sdcardformatter.com/downloads, and download the SD card formatter for Mac user and Windows user. So Mac version of SD formatter downloaded. So I believe that is the formatter. That's it. Is it? Download. Imager. I think it is already. Then SD formatter. Let's download it. Download starting automatically in 10 minutes, 9 seconds. Okay, then it is here as a zip file. There's an installer, so click on that. Continue, license, read it, continue, agree, installation, install. You need to enter your platform password, your laptop password. Done. Installer would like to access a file. Yeah. And I move to that and see if I have SD card formatter. So I have SD card formatter. And then select card. This is storage device media, SD card, quick formats. I want to recommend you to have override format if you something used already. But I've formatted this on the Windows version. So I'm going to do this quick format to save time right now, because it takes really long. Size of my SD card is 32 gigabytes. So format it. Format will erase all data on this card, of course. Continue. And again, my password. This is my laptop password. So that would like to access a file on the real world. Okay. Format complete. No, we don't need to add the device right now. Yeah, we need to install, yeah, add the device. Fine. So formatting done. And then we need to Raspberry Pi image. Okay, click on this. Choose OS. So we need to choose Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit. So right now only 32 bits. So choose a 32-bit. Storage, that is SD card. So massive directory SD card. So recovery, that was the volume name, right? Previously, 32 gigabytes. Then we will have a right button clickable. Click on it. So all the existing data on, are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Again, so enter your Okay, 90% progressed. Good news. What it does is that this imager uh, tries to make your SD card bootable. So when SD card plugged in your Raspberry Pi, and when it comes to Raspberry Pi has a power, then it should be booted. Actually, the ROM, where there is a bootstrap program, very small program that brings your operating systems from the storage onto the RAM memory, which sits just next to CPU. Therefore, the operating system can be loaded on your hardware. So that's what it does right now. So install this operating systems needs to be installed on the Raspberry Pi now. Right now, this is only the image that is bootable. Therefore, when you plug that on the Raspberry Pi, then it is configured within the Raspberry Pi. So we'll see that when this the imaging processor is complete. So verification is almost done and finalizing. And there is a pop-up window that says write successful. So you can now remove SD card from the reader. So continue. And I will close this imager. Okay. And unplug this. And there is a SD card. Will be removed from there. And this is Raspberry Pi. Plug this. See here. I want to push this down. So it is ready. Let me see. Yes, it is. And then I have keyboard. This keyboard USB. So plug in here. That is mouse, by the way, and I have a keyboard here. So keyboard plugged in. So one keyboard and one mouse. Okay. And then we have a storage here. And then I have HDMI cable. One end, regular HDMI. This goes into the external small keyboard. I mean the terminal. Okay. So on the way back end. And this goes into my micro HDMI port. So the low one, HDMI 0, so plug in there. If you have two of those, then you can use the second the port as well. So right now, this is an output port, the display. This is input, keyboard and mouse, and then storage here on top. And then only left is my power. So usually I am going to plug in the later. So the screen share. So I have here keyboard and mouse USB. So currently I have a type 2, so plugged in the outer USB. If you have type 3, then you can use this. And then my SD card, I'll plug it in here. Okay, so this is a processor CPU, and I am using this. This is a SD card slot. The bottom of this the board. See here. So I push this down. Okay, and on the side here, two of micro HDMI port, and that indicator says HDMI 0, HDMI 1. I plug HDMI 0. That is connected with this small terminal. Okay, this terminal has one side HDMI, regular HDMI, and the other one's the power lines. So that is plugged in. And then now I have a power for this Raspberry Pi. Okay, so I can, here's type C. This is a type C near SD card. Okay, the further end I have USB ports. Because it is a C type, I don't need to worry about any orientations. Simply plug it in. Then it's blinking. Right now, red and green. And here the monitor. It says, okay, initialize the operating systems in, okay. Close. Let me try to boost this up to see. Shows you better. Not really clear, right? Let me see which angle this. Maybe this. No, really. This pop-up, it says, welcome to Raspberry Pi. Welcome to Raspberry Pi desktop. Before you start using it, there are a few things to set up. Press next to get started. That's what this guy says. Okay, so I'll here on the left, bottom left, it says candle. Bottom right button to go to next. So I click on next button. This is again not clear to see. What should I? United States, one below. And then language, American English. And then time zone, I'll change it to New York. See if we have New York. Here, New York. Sorry, there is no New Jersey. Okay, use English language. There is the click button, and then or use US keyboard. So you can use both US language and US keyboard. So I clicked that. Let me see if you can see. Somehow let me see. I think this is because of or let me try if I can. Okay, here. I'll choose FaceTime. Is it clear? Somehow you can see it, right? Right now. Can you see it? Terminal. Okay. And then there's a blood down. And I will switch it back to the external terminal so that you can see here. Okay. Okay. So now, so that is that. I click on next button. It says a setting location, please wait. And then enter a new password and confirm new password. Here, default Pi user. Username is Pi. And then default password is Raspberry Pi. But it asked me to change it. Hide the character. No, I would not hide the character. I would say maybe Raspberry Pi again. I put Raspberry Pi as default because no one. Otherwise, I forget. So Raspberry Pi, I don't change it. Okay, click on next. And then setup screen. You should be able to see the taskbar along the top of the screen. Tick the box if some taskbar does not fit. Right now, my up tick, that is okay. So I click next. And then search for browser, please wait. Searching for network. It is automatically searching. I have on this menu, it automatically search the router SSID, service ID of yours, your home router. If you have some SSID, then click on that, and then your Raspberry Pi will connect it to the network. It should be connected to the network, which means your Raspberry Pi should be served by the router. The very same router should be connected from your laptop. Therefore, your laptop and your Raspberry Pi has the common router. Through that router, your VNC, virtual network connections will be possible. From there, from that time, you can use your laptop monitor to see your Raspberry Pi, the shell or the monitor. So I'm using this, one of those that I know, and password. And next. Okay, change. Let's see my work. Okay, let me start. If it's not working, I'm going to stop and reboot the system, the Raspberry Pi. Sometimes it works. The connections. So I'll skip this. Update the software. Operating system update is not possible right now, so I'll skip that and then done. And I am going to reboot. The way that you can reboot, on top of this terminal on the left, there's a Raspberry Pi logo. Click on that. The bottom, there is bottom menu, drill down menu, all the way to the bottom. There's a shutdown, and I am going to reboot. Let's see. Oh, it's being connected. Okay, great, 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 great. It is being connected. Okay, great. Yeah, if I type here www.nyt.com. All right. It's not really clear to you, right? But this is connected somehow. If you can see a little further down. I'm not sure why this is not. Or because it's a blur. Is it right now blur? No, it is not. Camera itself. Let me show this camera. Oh, this is clear, right? So if you see First one, this. Okay. Here, what you need to do is, if you click mode change to HDMI. Okay. There is a preference, and then Raspberry Pi configuration. Raspberry Pi configuration. I'll show this a little later when I set up the VNC, and then I will here VNC enable and OK. So VNC should be enabled on your Raspberry Pi, because this terminal is not clear, so you cannot see it. And then what I will do is I'll come back here. And share the screen. Right, I need to share the screen. Share the screen. On your computer, back to your computer. And then remember that you need to download the VNC, not VNC server, VNC viewer, VNC viewer. Either Windows for Windows version, or for Mac users, click on Mac version and download the VNC viewer. Okay, and then when you install it, you will be able to see real VNC here. And then, oh, this is VNC. This is an installer. Here, VNC viewer. Sorry over there, real VNC server. VNC viewer. See, I think this is. Can you see my my terminal right now? Can anyone tell me?
Yes, yes, we can see it.
Right, yeah. So I'll launch this. Then up top menu, it says enter VNC server address or search. So in this case, the VNC server is your uh, uh, your Raspberry Pi, right? On your Raspberry Pi. So how do I know your Raspberry Pi is IP address? So we need to have IP address. So I'll show you that a little later. If you put here IP on the terminal, IP, then clearly it says uh, here's the IP address. Another thing is here it should be switched to, wait a minute, what is my 5G? So it should, oh, this is a, I'm muted. Is that right?
Yeah, Professor, you've been muted for a couple of, about 10 minutes maybe.
Oh, you should have told me. I'm sorry.
No, I thought you were doing something.
Wow, I need to go back to that. So many things, because I need to back and forth. What I want to do, I want to, yeah, turn on here. Okay. Okay. Here, I started a VNC viewer, and I entered my IP address. Hopefully, this IP address remains the same on. Let me check. Oh, this is not connected. I need to do this. Okay. My Raspberry Pi. It's not connected. Again, my Raspberry Pi is having trouble. Oops. Oh, now it is connected to another router. Okay. Then probably IP address changed. So let me see. What is the IP address? Oh, remains the same, 184. Let me see. This is a 192.168.1.184. So I double click this. Okay, ask me to enter the password of the Raspberry Pi. The username is Pi, so I called it Raspberry Pi. Remember the password and OK. Access. Okay, so this is that one. Let me close this. The one that I used for this is 168.1.184. I believe you can see same one on yeah. You see on my terminals, both of my screen share and camera right now. So how I got this on your the Linux operating systems, the command that I put there is IP space address, then you will be able to see the IP address. That IP address needs to be used on your VNC server, VNC viewer from your laptop. That's what I use this. My laptop now show Raspberry Pi terminals. Okay, and the other one that I explained about muted and screen was not shared was this. On your left upper corner, how I enable my PNC on Raspberry Pi. There Raspberry Pi configuration, click on it. Then I have the menus. The one that I am interested in is interface. So interface between my Raspberry Pi and laptop. Let me go ahead and click on this interface and I enable the VNC here, particularly this VNC. Therefore, this was okay, right? I think this much that we are going to do. So when you yeah, and then you need to reboot the systems that I did right now, right? So here you can open the web browser also. So for example, click on that. It's a new web address. scicure.org, our program web server that comes up here, right? As you can see, this is a screen share. If you want to stop the screen share, this is a VNC viewer. On this VNC viewer, then quit VNC viewer. Then not any. The VNC is not is closed. This one that I used, right? The one last ones that I want to explain tonight is, for example, if you want to access from your terminal, if you have, this is only for Mac users, okay? For Windows users, then you need to use a PuTTY, but for Mac users, I think this is also possible. So SSH and Pi and at 192.168.1. I believe that is here 184. So 184. Are you sure you want to continue to connect? Yes. Then I can put the password. So I can say Raspberry Pi. Then this is a Raspberry Pi. See here, Pi at the Raspberry Pi. So I connect my Raspberry Pi from my laptop. And from here, I can enter my Linux command, right? So ID is my Pi. Pi is my ID right now. Okay. This is a SSH connection. Yeah, this is. So if I exit from this, then command that I used was this. SSH is a secure shell that is connected from my terminals. For Windows users, how Mac and Raspberry Pi can connect only simply the terminal, because both has the same the kernel of the operating systems. Both are the Linux kernels. But the Windows systems is different, right? So Windows cannot access your Raspberry Pi from Windows terminal, for example, CMD. From the Windows, you have to use some other application. So one of the applications that you may use is PuTTY. PuTTY may be good for. So far, what we did is we set up SD card using Raspberry Pi imager. Before we do, you need to format the SD card. And once your imager complete to write all the operating systems on your SD card, then bring it up to your Raspberry Pi, so that you need keyboard, mouse through a USB port, and a mini HDMI to your external terminal. Only reason that you need to do minimal, the terminal is needed, the external terminal is needed, is to configure it. Raspberry configuration is needed. On that Raspberry configuration, what you need to do is to enable VNC connection. Once the VNC is connected, then you need to get IP address from your Raspberry connection. That IP address is dynamically assigned from your router. So you need to get that IP address. And then your laptop also should use the same router. So back into your laptop, you need to, of course, once you install VNC viewer, then launch that VNC viewer program and put the IP address of your Raspberry Pi. Then your VNC will find out, and you enter login ID and password of your Raspberry Pi operating systems. Then you can view Raspberry Pi on your laptop. Okay. If you do not want to VNC, and if you have your external monitor, of course you can simply use external monitor continually, disconnected from your Raspberry Pi, laptop. That's fine too. That is a summary. That's what we did. I know some of you may have difficulties. Then number one, I wanted to try with the video recording. Remember, myself also having some troubles, right? To connect my Raspberry Pi to the router. If you are lucky, you can get in from first shot. If you are not, then you may reboot, and it's a device issue, right? It's not your skill issue. Okay, what else? I think that's it.